When when it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind-A-Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting, the A-Team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind-A-Raw for Monday night, download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind-A-Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
It is Rewind-A-Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting. We are coming off G1 weekend and the final podcast of Post Wrestling's coverage of the G1. We have the finals out with WH Park joining Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson that everyone can go check. And we want to alert everybody before we get to this Raw review that dropping for everybody Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, it is my chat with Trish Stratus ahead of her Q&A that she is doing this Friday at the Second City in Toronto. And we go into many different aspects of her career, including how many companies were after her in 1999 and many other notes as well. An enjoyable interview with Trish Stratus. And for Post Wrestling Cafe members, well, if you refresh your feed, it's already there for all Cafe members. Whoa. Amazing how this all works.
Dare I say the best product out of the Law Dojo? Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Present company, ourselves included. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that did come up. Yes. So you can listen to that now, and everyone else Tuesday 1 p.m. Eastern time that will be debuting. The only site that will have both Trish Stratus and a review of Vince Russo's newest book on the site this week. Which
are you sure about that?
I don't know. I can't say that definitively. You're right. But that will be on Book Club later on this week. And Wai and I will be also going for the double shot on Wednesday with reviews of both the Paul Orndorff and Missy Hyatt editions of Dark Side of the Ring. I may or may not be on this episode. I don't know.
You recorded interviews for it. Right?
I did, but it doesn't ensure inclusion, so we will see. So that's coming up this week. A lot of great stuff as always. PostWrestlingCafe.com. You know what's more the most enjoyable thing is Saturday morning getting to listen to Wai and Neil together.
Really?
Just calming voices that just.
What are you doing when you're listening on a Saturday?
Usually I'm up fairly early, and I get a tease of it when I use the time stamping as my preview of the show, and then I get to digest everything in context instead of just like snippets of something as I'm grabbing the time. This is definitely a private conversation that no one else is.
I appreciate you making that effort. I know how busy your weekends must be, and I also appreciate the effort of yourself and all the other people who did our G1 coverage this month. Tremendous work from everybody involved. Every match review and rated according to their own personal system. You can find right now at postwrestling.com/G1 in the Post Wrestling Cafe.
Yes, and a little later on, Chris Engler will be jumping on with us. We will crown the winner of this year's Post Wrestling G1 Climax Contest winner. So stay tuned for that. But now we are heading to Buffalo, New York, the KeyBank Center. And tonight, WrestleTic's final number was 10,250. And for a lot of these shows, when we are looking at last visit to the building, it's a notable decline. Not so for this one, up 13%, because they were here for the first SmackDown of the year back in January, drawing 9,046. So a good increase from the last time they were here. They announced it on the broadcast as over 11,000, but we will stay true to the WrestleTix number here.
Do you think that's like the Roman effect?
Either Roman or El Fiscal, either one of them, I think, made the difference here. Roman, you would certainly look at as probably the difference maker here. They moved like a good amount of tickets over this last week with Roman being advertised as well. It's not like there was anything else on the show that would jump out in such a way. Stephanie Vaquer starts the show, and she wants her title back, calling out Liv Morgan to fight me, puta. And Liv comes out, and sorry, was that problematic?
No, I just know Brandon from New Jersey is going to clip that one. And
I know. Yes. Liv comes out with Raquel and Roxanne, and Liv does not care about the women who came before her. She is a champion for herself, not for anybody else. I beat you, Stephanie, at WrestleMania. Then we put you on the shelf. And says that Vaquer and Becky Lynch will never be champion. I will be the longest reigning champion of all time. And then Judgment Day enter the ring. It's a 3-on-1 beatdown, and Vaquer is trying to fight them off, but gets outnumbered, gets chop blocked into the knee from behind by Perez. So Becky runs down and starts fighting off Judgment Day. And wouldn't you know it, she bumps into Stephanie Vaquer. And they clear the ring. Vaquer and Becky go face to face, and we get a shove from Becky. And this allows Liv to drag Becky to the floor, throws her into the post, and Vaquer boots Vaquer and is hit with a code breaker and a pop rocks to Vaquer. And once again, to accompany the intro, we also get the extra of Liv Morgan with trouble. Double trouble on this segment.
Double trouble, yeah. So I felt it was a decent segment, though I wouldn't say much of it was all that notable. To me, it just kind of felt like one that just kind of simmered and didn't necessarily elevate the status of the feud that much. I think Liv's personality and charisma continue to really come across in this role. It really is notable how, like, she just somehow managed to have. You compare this to the start of her heel run, and she's just really night and day. She's really unlocked a level of comfort within herself, and it comes across every single week. She's not wrestling, look at her cage match record, and you can see she's not been very active, but that's also because I think they enjoy her so much on the microphone. She's constantly
this is the show Chelsea Green needs to hold the title on.
Oh yeah, she'll be
like, okay,
forever.
we're gonna give you 180 days to get ready for a title defense.
Yeah. Thought they did a good job of like making Vaquer look heroic here in the 3-on-1 beatdown. And I'm still sensing 3-way between Becky, Vaquer, and Liv. I don't know if you feel the same way here.
I think this is going to culminate with Stephanie Vaquer breaking a kettle over Liv Morgan's head, and then Liv Morgan is going to have to glue the kettle back together to be stronger than its original form.
Was it Kintsugi?
Yes,
Something like that?
Kintsugi match,
Okay,
some sort. Jimmy Uso is in the back, and him and Jey have got Solo Sikoa. He's being held hostage by the Usos. They've just held him for a week and are now going to deliver him to Roman Reigns, which after tonight's segment, this was pretty much like he lost a match, so he was taken to the principal's office, but he's under no obligation to join this group. It's not like Jacob Fatu. It's just bring him to me. And that's what
This family operates under very different rules, John. Okay, you are a man of your word. All right, if you've lost a match, you will do exactly. You don't need a contract. You will just do what your family dictates. If you lose,
it's like all you had to do is show up. Like this is not that bad, all things considered.
He's showing up to be presented.
Okay, well, JD McDonough and Javon Evans. We come back. This match is just happening, and Cole explains to us that this was all set up during the break where JD and Dirty Dom came out, and Dom complained about not being in the Luchador tournament. And then Javon Evans came out and called out Big Cass, and it led to this match. I'm like, how long was this commercial break that we missed here? They did all of this in 3 minutes?
I mean, I guess so. You could get a lot done in 3 minutes.
They clearly did. Yeah. I mean, so
yeah, something like this happens, and it just makes me wonder, okay, like they must be really... Somebody must have gone long, like in the previous segment. I don't know if you know this, John, but like on SmackDown, they cut like 4 or 5 like relatively important segments from the show, and I'm guessing it's because the Kevin Owens and Punk segment, went so long. Like they basically are Annette's Hiromu is Shinsuke Nakamura's partner, and that got cut. Julia versus Blake Monroe's match.
We got the web exclusive with Saraya. Or Paige.
You got a bunch of, she wasn't too happy about that. You got a million, web exclusives. And I don't know. I just wonder if this was one of those.
Well, the match that they had, Dom trips Evans from the floor, and Evans sends Evans sends JD into the timekeeper's area, does the run around the ring, leaping into him. And then JD yanks him into the post, wraps the knee around it. So Evans is working with an injured knee, but manages the red dot, and JD catches him with a headbutt into a brainbuster. Evans kicks out, and then the moonsault misses for JD, and he is caught by the OG cutter as Javon Evans wins in 9 minutes and 19 seconds. And, for impromptu matches that I had to get caught up to speed in 30 seconds by Michael Cole. They had a very good match for the time allotted.
You want your impromptu matches to feature guys who are just like pretty, strong in ring, like a Javon Evans. And this was another strong showcase for Evans. A bit more emphasis on body part selling for this one, which I thought Evans was able to showcase well here. And, they really livened the crowd up, I would say.
So what happens then? Javon gets his arm raised, and out comes Big Cass to attack Javon Evans once again and hits the East River Crossing as the fans boo. But as Cass is leaving, Evans calls him back, asking, "Is that all you got?" So Cass returns, and Evans fights back. He hits a tope suicida, but Dom is still there and runs Javon into the post. And Michael Cole warns that Evans is, quote, about to get killed by Big Cass. And Evans was sent into the barricade and big booted to death. And that was the end of Javon Evans on this planet.
Yeah. They're not reinventing the wheel in any way with Big Cass. I mean, it's to me a very stereotypical big man entry into your WWE product. I'm just going to beat up a bunch of like small guys. But it's fine. It's a fun way to reintroduce him as like your sort of mid-card threat. I am maybe a little bit disappointed we're not hearing a little bit more substance to the character though. Like it seems very disconnected, or at least like you're not getting as much storytelling as maybe they seem to promise coming off of those vignettes talking about his own history and everything. And maybe, I don't know, I wonder if there was some change in direction with him where like they figured like the whole sympathetic coming back from addiction type of storyline wouldn't necessarily work so much for a big heel. But for now, it's fine. Like he looks in incredible shape compared to his first run, doesn't he?
He's looking swole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a recap of La Parka beating Psycho Clown on Saturday's show, where we had the second week in a row of the Drake Moreau character, who is literally being referred to as like a swamp monster, attacking Psycho Clown, and this led to La Parka hitting the Bone Breaker. So La Parka will face Penta next week.
All right, cool.
Then we had the video for Rey Fenix and the prosecutor, El Fiscal, who was here. And Fiscal says, this will be a historical match, and he is the law. And after me comes total darkness.
Yeah. Abysmal
Ominous
Negro.
words, yes. And they note how he's been wrestling for 4 years, the son of Abismo Negro. And before they start the match, they promote that next week's Raw, which they're doing a double taping in Ottawa, will start at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So they're going to do Raw and then SmackDown for everyone in Ottawa. So earlier start time next week. Phoenix and El Fiscal. Phoenix hit a lethal injection, and they fight on the turnbuckle. Phoenix headbutts him and hits the goodbye amigo. Fiscal is working on Phoenix's leg, and Michael Cole is very impressed by El Fiscal. This is his new favorite luchador. And Phoenix gets his throat dropped on the top, discus lariat, and then a double springboard moonsault by Phoenix. And El Fiscal catches Phoenix and goes for the martinete. And this crowd, they could not possibly care about any of this, but the announcers are really into it. It's countered. They explain how it's legal here in Buffalo, this wild Buffalo sanctioning organization. And El Fiscal, it gets seated on top, super kick, and the Mexican muscle buster by Rey Fenix in 9 minutes and 3 seconds. I thought there was quite a contrast to the tournament match that we would get later, but this one was more along the lines of what we had seen last week, where especially Phoenix, I thought worked really hard here, but it just felt like the crowd was not familiar with El Fiscal, and that has been kind of a handicap of this tournament, is just the audience at large is not as familiar when it's the pure AAA stars that are in this tournament.
Which I'm sure they would have expected. It's like I get the sense like having like, even who did they have last week? They didn't have La Parka. They had Pentagon versus who? Laredo Kid.
Yeah,
Laredo Kid or like El Fiscal. I get the sense that, I mean, number one, they're there to at least give some spotlight to your AAA talents, but secondly, I think they're just kind of there to, I don't know, have a showcase of like Lucha Libre. You have to like be pretty special in order to, I would say, stand out without that much like sort of storyline, right? I don't necessarily think like Fiscal hit that. I didn't think Laredo Kid hit that. They just kind of by the end of this felt like your run of the mill, luchadors that were just there to like take a pinfall here. But that's not to say the match didn't deliver on, I think, like what your expectations were of a lucha libre style of match. I thought it was like strong, but you had a better crowd in Buffalo than you certainly did last week. Sorry, Nate, who was there, and Nate, brother Nate, you could have done a better job. All right, reacting to some of these luchadors.
Kathy Kelly is with Stephanie Vaquer, and she's going to return to the ring next week against Roxanne Perez, and claims that Liv is hiding. And she remembers, though, what Roxanne Perez did to her, and she's coming for revenge. Becky walks in, and Vaquer says, "I didn't need your help," and warns Becky not to become a problem for me. Becky says, "I'm your biggest problem, and I'm going to be watching next week, and I'm sure that there will be no interference, and you won't need any help."
Mm-hmm.
So the growing tension continues with Becky and Stephanie Vaquer. And then it is time for Lyra Valkyria.
I smile every time we're about to talk about one of these.
This was, I will just cut to the chase here, okay? Lyra Valkyria, it's like hot and cold sometimes. This was Lyra in her element. I think these pre-produced videos, they are the way to go.
Yeah.
She said, "What would you do if you were me, the first women's Intercontinental champion, and eliminating one of the top women of this generation? But all the focus is on Sol Ruca. I can do everything Sol does, but I don't because I'm smart. Because when you fly around to show off, bad things happen." No lies uttered here by Lyra Valkyria. Kind of summarized Sol's first couple of months here on the main roster. And she will make sure that Sol crashes and burns tonight, and then I'm getting my belt back.
I don't know how you feel about it, but like just like the visual of her appearing on camera, like as this character, I think is enough to like make me interested at this point. And I'm also interested to see what new things she adds or just slightly changes week to week. I mean, I don't think she's looked the same any of the weeks that like she's debuted this character thus far. And it tells me she's just constantly thinking about it and changing it and whittling away at finding what the final form of this may be. And I'm enjoying seeing the progression. Certainly it's not there yet, but I think week to week, I'm enjoying just the amount of maybe effort she and whoever is working with her, is putting into this.
What if Lyra Valkyria has to put up a stipulation for the Intercontinental title where if she loses, WWE will no longer recognize her title reign in its championship history?
TNA has really unlocked, I think, a new form of storytelling here. Like they think about all the great big money matches you'll have in the future. Like Ric Flair could come back out of retirement and put his like whatever 17, 18 title reigns at stake.
Oh my God. They really missed out of like Cena beating Flair to eliminate Flair's title reigns to bring them down as well. Yeah, for those that are not following TNA, and I imagine that's a few of you, Cedric Alexander will defend the X Division title against Leon Slater on Lockdown this Sunday. And they put out the graphic today that if Cedric Alexander defeats Leon Slater's reign would no longer be recognized by TNA. The title history will officially recognize the title moving from Moose to Cedric Alexander with a period of inactivity during Leon Slater's reign. Amazing Red would once again be recognized as the youngest champion in history, and Austin Aries would be the sole holder of the record for the longest X Division title reign.
Do you know what they're doing? They are Doctor Stranging Leon Slater's title reign. Like you didn't watch No Way Home, so it doesn't make sense to you. But they are basically using Doctor Strange's spell, all right, to erase Peter Parker from everybody's memory.
I'll go one further. This is like the craziest stipulation for a match since Triple H and Shawn Michaels headlined WrestleMania 20.
Okay. Sorry, what? Oh, yes. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
It'll take everyone about 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
This is just like the wackiest submission or stipulation of all time. One that only TNA could conjure up. So congratulations, TNA. Just always amazing us, even these many years in.
Support for this podcast comes from NordVPN. There is a lot of wrestling happening every week, and if you're a completist like we are at Post, then you probably know how expensive it can be juggling multiple streaming services just to keep up. In some parts of the world, things are set up pretty well. Regions where WWE lives on a single paid streaming service, others where AEW fans can get their weekly shows and pay-per-views bundled under one subscription. But when those fans travel abroad, they lose access to those fully featured versions of those services that they rely on at home. And that's where NordVPN comes in. No matter where you are, you can open the app on your phone, laptop, or Apple TV, connect to a server of your country's location, sign into your existing accounts, and keep up with your wrestling the way you do at home. John and I have been using Nord for over 3 years now, and it's become one of the most reliable, must-have tools in our wrestling consumption. It'll probably be for you as well. You can grab an exclusive NordVPN deal by going to our custom link, nordvpn.com/postwrestling. You'll get a big discount on any 2-year plan, plus 4 additional months on top. As always, it is completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/postwrestling. You can find all the information in the episode notes. Get your exclusive deal and let them know you found them through us.
So Sol Ruca takes on Lyra Valkyria. I don't know if you noticed, there were a lot more mentions of Bayley tonight than in recent weeks. Like, there have been references, but it was not just in Lyra's promo, but Cole was constantly like name checking Bayley and calling her like one of the legendary figures of this generation. So I don't know if that means anything, but it was kind of pronounced in this match. Sol avoids on the edge of the apron by using a handstand and cartwheel, and Cole calls her very Lita-like. And Lyra then kicks out the rope as Sol is going for a...
Do you find her Lita-like at all?
No, it's like...
She has long hair, I guess. She's a woman.
Yes.
Like, she's white. Is that all we're talking about?
She's a woman. Like... So they did do several of these spots where it was Sol doing like her high risk stuff, and Lyra, like, she tries a springboard and Lyra kicks out the rope, so she crashes onto the mat, and then Lyra snaps the neck on the top rope and hits Sol manages a missile drop kick and deadlifts Lyra into a German, sending Lyra to the floor. And Sol goes for a space flying tiger drop, but Lyra gets onto the apron, and before she can launch herself over, does a neck breaker from the apron onto Sol, which they timed well here, and hits a guillotine leg drop off the top. Sol lands on her feet from the Nightwing, hits this crazy spinning DDT where it looked like Lyra just came like right down on her head here, and she's in perfect position for what I'm going to venture to guess is maybe Sol's most proficient Soul Snatcher to date on Raw, which she hit here and won in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. I thought Lyra was really good in this match, and I thought this was the best outing Sol maybe has had since being called up. I thought these two did very well in this position.
I really enjoyed the combination of styles here. You know, Lyra working like a more technical, sort of like aggressive style, I think gives great balance to Sol's more gymnast, high flying. And I thought like Lyra overall controlled the match well. And I think it's been very evident that Lyra hasn't just been working on like the promo or like the look, but I think as in ring, you got to see, I think, some of the difference in her wrestling style in this match as well. She's a lot more convincingly dirty and aggressive. And I think like employing a lot more like smart, sneaky counterattacks to stop Sol's high spots, like the kick to the rope to stop the springboard, the neck breaker to stop the space flying tiger drop, and then even just something as simple as like pulling on the leg to stop the Soul Snatcher. So I thought they were both great, and I certainly felt like Sol, I agree with you, like had one of her strongest performances since coming up on the main roster. I think her confidence is certainly growing week to week now, and she's getting back to like that NXT groove, I think. So these two, I think, like look really good together. I'm sure in the future they'll have more opportunities to face each other.
The Usos are backstage with Jacob Fatu, and Jey is just bragging about the fact that they brought Solo Sikoa to Buffalo, and he asks Jacob, "Who's a punk ass now?" And the whole deal is Jacob Fatu can't do anything. He just has to take it. Kelly interviews the Vision, and Maxine just pretty much blows off Logan Paul's statement, and her and Theory make fun of Alpha Academy. Theory brings up that Obafemi hit him with a cheap shot last week, and that is not going to go unnoticed. And then Theory says, "Me and my dog are the tag team champions." And that takes us to Breaker, who says, "If I have something to say about Obafemi, I'm going to say it to his face." So Breaker walks out to the ring and calls out Oba. and says, if he wants to be the future of this place, you got to take it from me. But instead of Oba, Paul Heyman comes out and gets a relatively big pop here. As he comes out, the crowd does his introduction, screaming it out. And he asks who is the future of WWE, and Buffalo votes for Oba. So Braun asks Paul, who do you think is the future, Paul? But the lights go out. Oba makes his entrance. Huge reaction. And Oba says that, Braun, you're asking stupid questions. And he proceeds to do a decent impression of Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad. Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Maybe he's got a future.
He could. He says, everyone already knows who the future is, including Brock Lesnar. And you can take it up with him if you have a problem with that. Braun wants to do it right now, but Paul Heyman steps in, warning him that if you lay a hand on Oba, you will be taking a step away from me. And he explains to Braun Breaker how this company operates, okay? We don't hotshot matches out of nowhere. We are a publicly traded company, and we don't just answer to the people, we answer to shareholders. And this whole place boos the publicly traded company of TKO Group Holdings. And he explains that to be the future, you have to understand box office and promoting a match of this magnitude. And I have already set it up with Adam Pearce. So the two are going to meet September 6th in Atlanta, Braun's hometown, for Sunday night's main event. And as Braun is looking on, Heyman shakes Oba's hand, and Braun is dumbfounded by this as Heyman informs him that's good business. So our second match for Sunday night's main event, and probably the biggest match that they can at least do during this kind of off cycle for Raw at the moment, outside of, you know, something big with Roman Reigns. But at present, like, this is the big program going on Raw. So you are going to get it in a couple of weeks' time.
I've been enjoying the program. I've been enjoying, like, just the simplicity of it, much like, you know, I enjoyed Brock and Oba's build to start. I mean, this one feels very similar, almost like, I would say, on a slightly smaller scale than Brock and Oba was. But I think it's already been very strong for Braun Breaker in presenting him in a much more serious light, and for Obafemi as somebody to honestly, like, take his time between now and actually going for a championship. I think this represents like a really strong, I want to say, I hate to call Braun Breaker filler, but I mean, you know, I can also see this one though, like, being extended to another series. Like, I certainly don't see them just having like Breaker lose and then just having it be over. So maybe this will be the next like 6 months, you know, before we get to the Rumble.
It's not like you have many options for Obafemi. You got to get pretty creative. That I could certainly see them, you know, whether it's a non-finish or just extending this beyond. Like, I just can't see it being one and done. Much like I don't see Punk and Owens being one and done either. Like, I think you want to get some mileage out of these programs.
So right now it's still ambiguous whether or not Heyman is with Braun Breaker, right? Like, what exactly is his role right now? Do we know?
You're kind of led to believe that he's just going to hitch his wagon to the winner. Like, that's the Paul Heyman character, is that he's like the Don King here, who he's going to lend his services to the winner. That's going to be of most value to him.
That part is a little ambiguous, as is his like sort of desire for like the health of the company financially. Like, what is he? I guess he's a shareholder. Maybe he's got some shares.
That's very possible. But at
like,
least
if he was managing Breaker, it would make sense that he would want to, like, you know, command the biggest payday for himself as possible. But that's not the relationship right now, right? Well,
maybe he is maybe he is quietly absorbing Vince McMahon's stock unload. Maybe Vince is quietly going to transfer his remaining stocks to Paul Heyman.
Okay, all right,
possible. Then we go to a video for Dragon Lee and El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Dragon Lee said with a straight face that failure is not an option, and tonight puts me one step closer to becoming world heavyweight champion. Which I know is what you have to say in a tournament where you are vying to get a championship shot, but this tournament, if nothing else, it does present the gulf between Roman Reigns and everybody else when you envision Dragon Lee unseating Roman Reigns.
Oh,
the end of this.
I mean, it's part of the reason why this whole thing has been so predictable from like the moment they showed the brackets. There's really only one guy who might even be like capable of headlining a Raw with Roman Reigns.
They also mentioned during the break NXT live events coming up October 15th in Kitchener, Ontario, October 16th in Sudbury, Ontario, Marcotte country.
Marcotte, you're expected to show up.
And October 16th in Gatineau.
Cool.
I wonder if Punk will work any of those. Punk comes to Sudbury.
I wonder if he's ever been there. I mean, maybe for one of those, like, indie runs, maybe.
WWE, they would do like that. That was a good old sea town for them. He's definitely done Kitchener over time, but probably going back quite a ways. Dragon Lee, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., which you knew Michael Cole was not going to be repeating that name too often. So he settled on Dr. Wagner 3 and then just Wagner as the match went on. Corey Graves was very good in this match. He brought up the fact that Wagner was a GHC champion. He's the brother of Galeno, even worked in a plug that Galeno's taking on Omos this Saturday from the tapings over the weekend. So Wagner hits a DVD and then a bunch of Kibradoras onto Lee, sending him to the floor and hits a somersault senton. Lee hits a tope con hero and they're trading chops. And this was where the match turned up because like the other matches, like this was relatively quiet for the beginning. But once, like, first of all, Wagner was working really hard. And once they got into these chops, it was like the crowd, like, just embraced this match and they started to get into it and they were building. And Wagner hits a big boot for a 2 count. He catches Lee on the leaping Rana to the edge and power bombs him into the ring, hits a frog splash for a 2. And then after a suplex, Lee counters it. It's countered for a Wagner driver, which is blocked, and he hits Operation Dragon for the win in 11 minutes and 3 seconds. I was very impressed with this match. I thought Wagner looked really solid in this match. They had a very good chemistry together, and they kind of had to start behind the 8 ball, and they got this crowd into the match. So I looked at this as a very good achievement for these two. Dragon Lee is great, but I thought Wagner looked very good in this match.
Agreed. I thought like of all the non-WWE like frequenters that we've seen between Laredo Kid and El Fiscal, I thought like he presented the most sort of like special appeal that you wouldn't get, I would say, from like, more of your cruiserweight style wrestlers. He looked very good here, and this was certainly stronger match than the first one. Maybe the strongest of the 3. Well, yeah.
I thought this was
last week's.
I thought this one was very good. Better than the earlier one tonight with El Fiscal and Phoenix. So one step closer for Dragon Lee.
That's right. Yeah.
Could be the champion a month from now. Chad Gable, Rey Mysterio. We're going right into the next match for the Intercontinental title. And Graves says that most of the luchadors have forgiven Chad Gable and they accept that Chad wasn't in the right headspace. So
okay.
Maybe Drake needs to go to a lucha-based promotion to start and get them on his side first. He just wasn't in a good headspace.
Yeah, the apology tour maybe has to be a bit different for him.
Gable is monkey flipped off the edge of the apron into the post, and they head to the floor. As they come back in, Gable turns a sunset flip into a fisherman suplex, and he starts working Ray's ankle. And Ray ends up using a head scissors to send Gable out of the ring, and he hit this incredible Asai moonsault. I mean, this guy is... Just remember, in 1999, this guy was told, like, your knees are totally fucked. Like, you shouldn't be coming off any type of height onto these knees. Yeah. And we are watching this guy 27 years later doing stuff like this. I mean... I will never get stem cells, but this man, the walking embodiment of what science can do for an individual.
Can does Hiroyoshi Tenzan not have a connection that may lead him to Rey Mysterio, and maybe Rey can spare some stem cells for that man's poor knees?
Maybe Tenzan has another Asai moonsault in him. Maybe this is what Chono meant by taking care of himself. It's like... We're gonna send you to South America, and you're going to not cheap, but hey. Great looking Asai moonsault here. Gable that runs his shoulder into the post, but he comes back with the cliffhanger DDT and a diving headbutt. and Rey lands on his ankle and is hobbling, and Gable has some sympathy here, but then goes for the angle slam. Rey avoids, and then he connects with the angle slam. They meet on the turnbuckle, and he hits an angle slam off the second turnbuckle, but Rey kicks out. So the straps come down and the ankle lock goes on, and it's broken by Rey, who sends Gable into the corner for a 619, and he hits it. And at this point, this crowd erupted. It was like, Rey can win. And they just all of a sudden believe this guy is going to win. It was the craziest shift in an audience. He hits a second 619. This place is exploding. And he lands a splash. Gable gets his knees up and he locks on the ankle lock. He won't let go despite all these kicks from Rey. And then Rey finally has one last attempt with a roll-up counter, which Gable reverses, catching Rey in 13 minutes and 17 seconds. And Rey takes the belt, wraps it around Gable's waist. Awesome match that these two ended up having, even with the caveat of this GM moonlighting as a wrestler. But what a match this was!
If I was like the stem cell doctor, I would just have this match playing
just on loop in the lobby.
Yeah.
It's like this is what you could do. This is what you're holding yourself back from.
I thought this match was amazing. This was like the quality that I just certainly don't really expect on Raw anymore. And I certainly don't expect from Rey Mysterio anymore. So this to me, really was able to show what he's still able to do against a wrestler as amazing as Chad Gable. Certainly one of Rey's best matches in a very long time. It's tough for me to even think of a better one. And I think Gable's best since the Americano match. Rey and Angle, I thought always had great chemistry. So I think it just makes sense that he would have with Gable as well.
It's insane watching this match and how much this guy has emulated Angle. It's not a bad thing. You could pick a lot worse to emulate, but it's just even the mannerisms and the
straps,
everything is
the submissions, the moonsault, etc., etc. But who's complaining, right? I want a younger Kurt Angle clone.
Why didn't they make him the son?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
It was we could have this story that it's legitimately the offspring of Kurt. And
I think that would have sucked too, but
no one saw it coming. They picked Jason Jordan.
Oh, God. But this match was both men were excellent here. And
but by the end way, I was this could have been on the Vegas Triple Mania. Do they have it's kind of weird with Rey? You got to do something in AAA to build up. It's this could have been saved for something even bigger.
But this is Buffalo, okay? You're
right. You're right.
No, Buffalo was an amazing crowd tonight, and they got an incredible match to really take them to another level for. So
once he hit that 619, it was this place exploded, and it was really heated for these last 2 minutes.
And the counter from that ankle lock to the 619 back to the ankle lock, they were excellent here, really clever, and the crowd were wonderful here as well.
Next week, Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, both semifinals of the Luchador tournament with Penta against La Parka and Dragon Lee against Rey Fenix in the Lucha hotbed of Ottawa, Ontario. In Ottawa, you're getting a contract signing with Oba Femi and Braun Breaker. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No Roman.
No, he's not crossing the border. Come on. He just went all out here on this. He needs a week off, a couple weeks off. Roman pulls up in the back as Jacob Fatu awaits, and they make their way out to the ring. Crowd is singing for him, and he's got a receipt to collect and calls on the Usos to bring out their captive, Solo Sikoa. And they bring him out. It's very heated here as Solo stands in the center of the ring with Roman, and they remind Roman reminds him of beating him in tribal combat on the first episode of Raw on Netflix. And
which he says was 3 years ago, which is really rounding up because I think
it's not even been 2 years yet.
No.
Yes, this was early 2025 for those keeping track. Time flies.
Who keeps
when
track,
you're Roman
honestly.
Reigns?
Yeah.
He's got his own.
Time works differently for him. Certainly
needs to update that watch of his. Maybe he's wearing a Walmart watch. So. They know there's a lot of wrestling produced, and they're like, Solo, you probably don't remember this match, but we produced a video to remind you about this because it was 3 years ago. So we get a video highlighting this match and Solo having to acknowledge Roman mixed in with everything that's been going on over the past month. And they come back and Reigns is looking up and down at Solo, points out his watch, his chain, and then the guy takes his glasses and stomps on them. And this is serious now. And he states, "Why are you standing? You should be down on a knee." And with that, Jacob Fatu super kicks Sikoa, putting him down and applies the Tongan death grip when Roman calls off Fatu. And so with Solo dead, and man, he had to sell this Tongan death grip for an uncomfortable amount of time. He kind of just petered off to the corners and he was just down for like most of this next like 8 minutes. So Roman calls upon 2 new black Ulafalas that he presents to his captains, the Usos, but not one to Jacob. And Jacob is fuming in the corner at this disrespect.
For getting the job done.
Yeah.
With Solo. Yeah. Mm.
Like, I don't get it. Is Jacob Fatu in this against his will, or is he like, it's like, I want my necklace?
Is he in this against his will? Well, no, not exactly. But he has such
He was
respect.
forced into this group.
I mean, he's got so much respect for tribal combat that he is as good as, contractually bound to this.
Okay, but if you lost
subservient.
If you lost a bet to me, like there's one thing for you to have to honor the bet and I don't know, like follow me around 24/7. But like if I got like my special Pollock bloodline tattoo, would you be upset that I don't have you get the tattoo as well? Like, do you want to be that involved in this? Like, he was upset that he didn't get the Ulafala here. Why do you care about the Ulafala?
It's maybe more of a sign of just like, like Roman seeing these two at a higher level than Jacob, right?
He just wants community. He wants to be welcomed into the group.
Exactly. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Then LA Knight comes out. And he fends off Jimmy and Jey with little resistance. They just fly out of the ring. And Fatu jumps him. And then Roman stops him yet again and hits LA Knight with a Superman punch. And he tells Solo to end him because you brought him into this. Roman shouldn't have to dirty himself by taking out LA Knight. And so Sikoa has to look at LA Knight and he's saying, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." They're telling Sikoa to serve the family, and he holds up the thumb for the Samoan spike, but he turns and nails Roman Reigns to this giant pop. And of all the big calls from Michael Cole, the balls of Solo, which I hope is the episode title of this. And he puts his hand back in his jacket and pulls out to call his shot at Jey
pew,
and
pew.
Jimmy. Pew, pew. And there's a BFT to Jimmy. Jey gets thrown into the barricade and Samoan spiked by his brother. And then LA Knight challenges Jacob Fatu to do something, and he still can't. And Roman gets up to his feet, and LA Knight catches the Superman punch, hits a BFT to Roman. And then the ultimate moment, what all of this has been building for. We got the end of the chapter at SummerSlam, but the beginning of the new fisting that is LA Knight and Solo Sikoa, who leave together, fist in fist. And quite the segment to end the show. I continue to really enjoy what they are doing with Solo Sikoa. And this was like a great pivot that they did with the Samoan spike spot. And by the end of this, like you have the obvious LA Knight match, and like Solo is in a really good position now as a babyface.
They've really, like over the past 2 weeks alone, I think managed to really supercharge Solo Sikoa's babyface appeal and the spotlight that's around him with these segments, this one in particular. I mean, I found the segment overall very captivating in that it represented like Roman in his meanest, most mob boss-like self, which is my like maybe favorite version of the tribal chief, or at least like the favorite moments that I've seen him in. I respect that they are not afraid to like have Roman look so villainous, and sadistic even, despite him actually like being the top baby face on the entire show. But they don't really mind gambling that because they know that this crowd at this point will probably cheer Roman Reigns no matter what they do, no matter how evil they make him. So But it's not to say none of it like hurt the babyface here, because like Solo Sikoa comes out of this looking like such a strong commodity, on the babyface side of things. And at this point, I don't even think he's on SmackDown anymore. Like, he's just like, doesn't matter. He's a Raw guy now. I thought it was really brilliant how they positioned Jacob to stay out of it by having Roman force him, because he was a hothead earlier in the segment, to tell him to stay here and don't do anything. And so he does nothing for the rest of it. So listen, I thought it was a strong segment. I've seen pretty good reception to it overall. I don't know if it does that much to maybe calm criticisms down about this feeling like a rerun, because I thought beat for beat this segment felt exactly the same as Sammy's turn on Roman at the Rumble. In that you had LA Knight, in Kevin Owens' place, and Solo Sikoa in Sammy's place. All that said, though, I mean, there's no arguing the effect that I thought it had for the baby phases. I thought Solo again gets supercharged, and I think Knight at this point feels very worthy of being a Roman Reigns challenger, certainly more than before.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea of running back Reigns and Sikoa. I can't say I'm all that excited by the end goals here of matches with these guys, but they are certainly they've done a lot here with Knight and Sikoa at a time when Raw is really depleted on stars and baby faces. This is aside from Obafemi, this is what they've got. And I thought this came off well, and overall, we were very down on Raw last week. I'm the complete opposite this week. I thought this was a very strong episode of Raw from both the wrestling and a very good angle to end the show as well. And the Oba Braun stuff is that was working from the get-go. It feels like an important match. So I thought this was one of the stronger Raws in some time.
Having Reigns on the show and a big bloodline angle attached to the show, it makes a big difference. I thought you had a stronger crowd tonight as well, just for a lot of the wrestling in there. And you also had Rey versus Gable, which was a fantastic match. And Sol Ruka versus Lyra was also a really fantastic match as well. So yeah, top to bottom, I thought it was strong Raw.
All right, everyone. Well, there you go. That was Raw. And again, next week, double taping in Ottawa, Ontario. So we will be still coming to you at the regular time next week, but we will you will have some extra time to catch up on Raw next week. So we're going to be continuing onward. We do have several pieces of feedback, and we are going to be going over the results of the G1 Climax Contest, which took place over the past month. Several were left standing at the end of things. We're going to reveal the winner of the vaunted C block as well, and see was Wai Ting able to pull off the miraculous comeback against the OTC himself. Jason.
I do not know the results. I mean, of course, as usual, Chris waits for the Monday to actually post the final results of everything. And I just realized I forgot to send him the StreamYard link, so I just sent it, and he is about to enter our room. But John, maybe take the opportunity to point people to today's Post Daily News podcast that
yes,
you released.
For anyone that is on the double espresso level, I did put out today's audio news, and it was less so just going through all of the news items, but instead my own kind of breakdown thoughts on the G1 Climax as a whole this year, what worked, what didn't work. Certainly more of the former. I think generally this was a really well-received G1, much more beyond this past weekend. This was one where, New Japan is rightfully getting a lot of praise for especially the final, but this weekend as a whole. And it's the building blocks were there throughout this past month. It felt like this was New Japan answering a lot of the criticism that fans have had for a long time of not just doing sort of a kind of makeshift, kind of haphazard push for a younger talent. It was this whole tournament felt like these are not just our future stars. These are the people we're getting ready for now. And you got overall, I thought this was a pretty well-booked tournament, and you do have a a higher level of interest in New Japan coming out of this tournament. But as you mentioned, it's the question of like how effectively you can follow this up, and if this is something that can truly lead somewhere, because New Japan has also like been able to have these little moments and they can evaporate as well.
So while we still await Chris, by the way, that podcast is available for Double Double and Espresso patrons, as is this week's edition of Book Club, where you and Neil will be talking about the Vince Russo book. But while we await Chris, why don't we go through the raw feedback for our free feed as well?
Let's start off with Jesse from Queens, who writes, "Hey guys, first off, go Bills." Yes, there were several of the Bills who were present at tonight's show. The opening brawl was good. Few botches, but a fight shouldn't look perfect, so it all worked well. I appreciate the effort with Braun Breaker, but it's still hard to buy in since I don't think anyone believes he can beat Oba. I grew up on WCW, and it feels surreal to see Rey still wrestle at this level. I like the end result of the closing segment, but wasn't a fan of the execution. Knight's strength is his promo. Instead, he says nothing and immediately gets taken out. This segment just seemed all over the place, but it redeemed itself at the end. Without Roman, Raw feels depleted of top stars. Why are the upper mid-card guys, Oba Femi, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, Braun Breaker, not main eventing these shows in matches? And he also enjoyed the SummerSlam 91 review. Well, thank you, Jesse. I'm not so much, it's less important, I think, if you are like wrestling in the main event. It's like, who are the main characters on the show? And I would say all of those people are. Like, the closing segment is the main event of the show. Is that segment more effective if it's like done in a match format? Not really. So I would say all of the, like, Braun Breaker, admittedly, like, we like bang that drum week after week that he had been pretty much just put on the back burner, but clearly after SummerSlam, they are getting him back on track now. So I think Braun Breaker is in a much better position. Jacob Fatu is sort of like, he's in that holding pattern by design, but you know, he's someone that has certainly cooled off from where he was earlier this year. And with Knight, I mean, they're like, he is the next challenger, so they're certainly putting a lot of stock into him.
In the case of Oba, I feel like they've learned maybe from like his initial run, like when he was interacting with people like Kit Wilson, and I don't know. I think with him, like, maybe less is more, and like just having him like he's expected to be able to squash 90% of the roster, and how much is that really going to do for him to advance his story? Versus like you could have, of course, have him go like 50-50 with somebody, and that would hurt him. So I maybe for that reason they'd rather have like these big, you know, main event feeling types of showdowns rather than having him like wrestle a main event match, which, you know, he'd be expected to go a little bit longer for. Let's put a stop to feedback right now, and let's go over to Chris Engler, who joins us to talk about our G1 Climax Contest results. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, we are here. Wai Ting has made sure that we did not leave Chris Engler hanging here at the end. And Thanks. We are all at the edge of our seats, Chris. You are the one in possession of the results of this year's contest. So the floor is yours to let the world know who prevailed and where did Wai Ting fare in the C block.
Well, why don't we start with the C block? You know, I had forgotten to include Jason in the C block for the first few days. Wai reminded me, and boy, he kind of went out ahead and stayed ahead. It was pretty tight for those few days that he wasn't in the standings, but you know, I'll just, you know, not a big surprise that Jason finished first in the C block with 54 points, 5 points ahead of Eric Marcotte in second place with 49. And then third place, you know, Wai won the whole C block last year. And so we wanted to see if he could repeat. And Wai, you came within a hair's breadth of making it to the podium. You tied Davey Portman points wise. You had all your hopes on Yuya Uemura. But Davey correctly guessed that Yota Tsuji would finish first in the A block. And that got him a tiebreaker point. So by the narrowest of margins, Davey got one over on you for the C block, but he still did quite well. Okay. This was the first year that we had. So what surprised me, if you scroll down to the bottom of that, Randobot did terrible this year. In every year,
oh my God,
so far, Randobot has got right around 50%, which is what you'd expect, but. he did terribly. He only guessed about a little more than a third correct. And as we'll see in the stats, there was only one person that did not, in the whole contest, that did not do better than Randobot. So,
oh boy,
I don't know what happened.
I don't think he gets invited back.
Maybe not. Because that is a pure, like, I literally roll a die 90 times and take the random result. There's nothing high tech about it. We had the 3 AI models, Gemini and Perplexity, both finished with 40 points. ChatGPT did a little bit better, finishing with 45. So the average of all participants was 46. So all of the AI models did worse than the average. So Bruce Lord, if you're within the sound of my voice, I know that'll hit your ears well, even though you didn't do as good as ChatGPT, unfortunately.
The human race prevails, at least for most of us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And Rich Fan and Brandon from New Jersey, you've got to up your game as well.
Subscribe to me, okay? Whatever fee you're paying ChatGPT. You know what? We should be paying Jason actually for his
it's true.
insight into.
Maybe Antonio Inoki will be in the C block next year.
That could be.
He might be in the actual G1.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
That would be wild. And then if we go to the overall contest, it was interesting to watch the ups and downs of it. It's always a little strange. It's happened the past couple of years where a competitor has to exit early due to injury. It kind of front end loads the points, which makes it harder to catch up because you're already going in knowing the certainty of 9 of those matches. But a name that I don't recall from past years, Henry Honcho, he kind of came out ahead, but then was down by as many as 5 points at some point. But congratulations to Henry. He finished first outright with 57 points, guessing almost 2/3 of the matches correctly, which is very impressive. And just behind that, we had Grant and ZDG at 56 points, claiming second and third. And in much the same way that Davey Portman edged out Wai, Grant edged out ZDG with a correct prediction for a tiebreaker of Callum Newman winning the B block. So that is how the final contest standings shook out.
What a tight race. Look at this.
It was.
As always.
It was. Like Henry Honcho for the first third kind of looked like he was ahead and staying ahead, but slowly lost some ground, but then clawed his way back.
The head honcho. Wow. Congratulations, Henry.
That's right.
Congratulations, Henry. And Grant and ZDG, the top 3 placers, I will message you privately about your prizes.
And on the final post, that'll be up probably shortly after this.
It's up right now.
There's a link to a PDF with some fun stats. I'll go through a handful of them here. My 2 favorites I'll do real quick. The biggest, in terms of listener predictions, what was the biggest upset based on the crowd and what was the most accurately predicted? Any guesses from you two on what was the biggest upset according to our contest participants?
Oh, God. Ren Narita submitting Aaron Wolf. That upset my stomach, but maybe not the biggest upset.
Well, the 3 most, the most upset was Drilla Maloney beating Gabe Kidd, only 18 people of 120.
Really?
Wow. Which that surprised me. I would have thought that would have been more of a coin flip given those two and where they are. But that was the biggest upset. And the most accurately predicted by contrast was Takeshita beating Jake Lee. That was very much in line with my expectations. So,
well, yes, Jake Lee, a rather unspectacular summer that Jake Lee provided in the G1 overall as well.
So there you go. That's a wrap for the G1 contest.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Chris. Thank you for
Always.
staying up late with us as well to go over the results and keeping everyone up to date throughout the entire tournament. It is always fun to follow with everybody throughout this, and this very very close tournament this year with everybody. So we thank everyone that participated this summer, and we now allow Chris some opportunity to exhale now at the end of the G1. But we thank you very much for all your dedication to keeping the pool running.
Thanks. It's a ton of fun.
Before you go, is there anything you'd like to promote? Just, as a thanks for everything you've done for us, Chris.
Sure. One little thing. If you follow me, I'm cengler42 on X and engler.ca on Blue Sky. A good friend of mine is doing a really worthwhile fundraiser. I've got it pinned to the top of both of those. If you're moved to help out, that would be greatly appreciated.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Catch you later.
Chris. Why don't we just continue with the feedback? Thank you again, Chris. Again, full results at postwrestling.com/G1 if you want to see how you did in this year's Post Wrestling G1 contest. All right. Who did we leave off with? Let's, of course, Brandon from New Jersey writes in about Raw. Great to be here, guys. Hope everybody had a great weekend. So I normally don't do this, but my good buddy Leo came down from Lagos to hang out for the weekend. He really wanted to watch Monday Night Raw. I said from 97, during the Attitude Era, he gyrates and gestures while throwing his sweat around? No, the OTC. I was like, okay, cool. My buddy Leo was recently recovering from a flight at a Lagos nightclub, and to offset his medicals, he revealed he was working in a call center as one of those persons pushing predatory loans. So I quipped, "Have I been approved?" And we laughed. Anywho, kind of pumped for the Mug Root Beer Got That Dog in You main event between Braun Breaker and Obafemi. One more thing, is it me, or does El Fiscal Year remind you of El Chacal from Sabado Gigante? Love you guys. Peace. I guess, yeah. It looks a lot like
that looks guy. Like the prosecutor himself with a trumpet.
Yeah, sure. I was thinking more like Gold Ranger.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Gold Ranger with a shield.
Yeah, there was certainly that as well. The only thing I believe in this entire piece of feedback is that Brandon laughed.
You don't buy that he's got a buddy from Leo
unless
from
there's
Lagos?
a picture of Leo from Lagos, I question.
Okay.
Jeremy in Texas, did I miss something with this code Raw branding? It screams TKO activation. This show feels night and day when Roman is on it. I just thought it was like some of the new branding that they're doing on the show. I don't know nor care all that much. Maybe it's the lack of a big show for WWE in September, but it seems no official PLE announced is making Sunday night's main event a relevant show. After what's the big difference between you get 4 matches on Sunday night's main event? It would be 5 if it was a random name pay-per-view.
Well, some of these Saturday night's main events have clearly been a big step down in terms of just
this one is
grandeur. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah. After mid-card mayhem in Fort Wayne and the Knicks tribute show at MSG, did WWE realize you can't just mail in these shows? Or is it just fortunate scheduling that the gap between SummerSlam and Money in the Bank doesn't have a WrestlePalooza to fill it? That's something, too, is that you have a month until Money in the Bank and you have these programs that are ready for this show. So I think that certainly helps, whereas if they did have a WrestlePalooza, I don't think you would be stocking up this Atlanta show.
What's the word on that? Do you know why they aren't doing WrestlePalooza this year?
I mean, they
made such a big deal out of it last year.
They made a big deal out of it. If you remember, Money in the Bank shifted multiple times. First, it was going to be on the same weekend as All In. Then it got moved, and it was originally, I think, at the end of September, then got moved to October 10th, which is where it sits now. So I think maybe some of the movement of Money in the Bank is affected it as well. So I don't know if WrestlePalooza will be back, but yeah, they really touted that as being, this new franchise we were launching.
Let's go to O'Donnell, who says, really fun Raw. I enjoyed the Usos being the dumb cronies who didn't see the obvious coming. Also seems like they've made them a little more comical to replace the missing honorary Us with this Bloodline 2.0. 2 questions. 1, based on the Rock Hogan reaction to Mysterio almost winning the IC title, do you see a way for Rey to win the world title in Youth Movement WWE? And 2, John, if you had a chance to catch SmackDown, what did you think of the opening Chelsea Aldous Gunther segment and KO and Punk's War of Words? Yeah. I meant to ask you as well, John. But first, what are Rey Mysterio's chances of winning the world title?
At the moment, the Roman title, 0. getting
yeah,
8.
0.
I don't see him getting another title run at all.
I don't completely put it past them. Like, or like
If it is, it should be the mega championship. Like that should be the belt he goes for.
Have you seen the Mega Champion and the way he's booked lately? I don't really think it's as meaningful. Listen, like Cena got to win a championship in his last year, and yes, I recognize there's a big gulf of like, you know, popularity between the Rey Mysterio and John Cena, but that to me also, like, I could see a way for like the storytelling to create a moment, and they love their moments, for Rey to have like that final run, right? Like that final win, right? To really cement his legacy, whatever that's going to be. So I don't completely rule it out, especially if he's like delivering the level of action that he's able to today. So it's probably a long shot, you know, with his like relative inactivity, but I do think there's a chance, yeah. Secondly, John, what do you think about the 2 main segments from SmackDown this week?
I thought Chelsea's promo was great. I thought she was really great in that segment. I wish this was one where it was not as like we joke about the Liv Morgan thing, but I think it's sometimes hard to like we have these champions in WWE that just never ever compete, but we have the 30-day rule here. But I mean, I don't think anyone is really parsing this at that level. The overall effect here is that you know, this is probably a big elevation for Chelsea Green. It showed like the range that she can do the serious promo. The fans can take her in that serious role. In some ways, having to give up the title and then come back would have been a great story for Chelsea Green, like seeing this segment itself. But I think overall, this is still, like we had talked about last week, like they are going to make this a positive for Chelsea Green. This is like physically it's a setback, but professionally, this is a promotion that Chelsea is getting.
I think it's a promotion that like the weakest part of her game is her wrestling. And this forces a scenario where she doesn't have to do that, and she is still more over. It really is incredible how like between like the face mask thing, the more she gets injured, like somehow the more over she's able to get. It's a credit to the writing of it all and the performances. Like they really hit a home run, I think, with everything. Yeah.
The Kevin Owens CM Punk segment. So I know everyone has had like many different opinions of these segments and what it has achieved. My thing with these are like the types of promos that really drive me nuts are the ones that just get so inside that are just like it's acknowledging like this is a work. And this one never hit that for me. I think sometimes we dissect so much about, you know, how is Punk coming across here? Does he feel like the babyface here? Is CM Punk, or is Punk being too heelish here? It's like sometimes you just have to step back. And at the end of this segment, were you more or less interested in seeing this match? I thought this like was a strong yes of you wanting to see this match at the end. They are just going out there and cutting these promos and conveying to you like there is real tension here. Like there is pro wrestling storytelling, and then there is like, man, these two actually have animosity and they're really cutting close to one another. And I mean, it's, you know, they are building it up so big that this feels much bigger than for a SmackDown. I mean, Toronto's a big market for them, and they've moved over 10,000. I believe, like, by the time Friday night hits, I think they could end up selling out Scotiabank, which is not a small arena. Like, they could get up to, like, 14,000 for this show. And if they do, it's off of these promos. And I think that's kind of the barometer here. You can have your opinion however you want about, you know, using like the weight issue and stuff like that. It's like they are trying to sell you conflict. That's it. It's like whether you take Punk as the babyface or the heel, it's almost irrelevant. They are selling you a conflict. And I think in these segments, they've achieved that. And I think you can overanalyze promos, but it's like simply, are you more interested in the match? I think it's an easy yes.
Certainly how I felt. But I've certainly seen mixed reaction to it. You know, maybe some people thinking it was maybe too meandering or too long. A lot of people
using endometriosis in a lot.
People getting upset about that, and like, listen, I'll be honest, I don't even fully know what endometriosis like is, right? Like, but it's like people being upset that it's like Punk using something that women suffer as a pejorative against Kevin Owens, and or maybe just like simply the fact that it was confusing. I just took it to be like him looking for maybe something that sounded maybe funny in the moment, coming off of like the Metro Obafemi, I suppose. Worked for me. I respect your opinion if it didn't work for you, certainly. Yeah.
I mean, you also have to remember, like, I know a lot of this has been discussed about, man, like Punk is like coming off so heelish here. Like, this is in Toronto. Like, they are like, this is Punk facing MJF in Long Island. Yeah, like, this is going to be like, it might not be 100% Owens, but it's going to be like 85% of the guy that's going for the belt, and he's the Canadian representative. Like, it's like he is playing the old style world champion that's going into the territory against for Friday night, Owens is the babyface in this equation, and then coming out of it, it's more the defined roles of, Punk is the babyface and Owens is not a heel. But in this scenario, like, you want Punk to be the heel, and he will be to this crowd on Friday. And I think they kind of want to direct you that way.
I think much of your modern mold of like, champion, or at least like QB1, whatever you want to call it, in the WWE is somebody who can play babyface or play heel, or at least
it's what they were doing with Kenny Omega. Like, it's the same kind of, it's not the exact same dynamic, but it's the same line of thinking.
Because it offers the most amount of opponents for that person that you can headline various shows with. So it's to their benefit that, like he's a guy who could switch.
I've liked the segments a lot with these two. I think it's a totally different style of promos than you're getting for anything else in WWE. And I think part of that is, like in WWE, it's rare that their promos have that layer of authenticity to them. They feel very, produced. It is like there's an uncomfortableness that they've included in these segments that I think is generally very effective for building for pro wrestling. So there you go, everyone.
You can tell it was not maybe overly scripted because of how much was cut out of SmackDown. Look at all of these exclusives that did not make the air. It was Paige with Nikki Bella, Shinsuke Nakamura basically like announcing who his mystery partner is going to be. Fraxium with Ricky Saints. You got the Miz and
oh god, I didn't realize there were this many. Look at this.
Miz and Kit Wilson, who like are just inexplicably out of like the Danhausen lair with like Matt Cardona. You have Julia and Blake Monroe announcing their match. So a lot got cut out.
I wish we had another week of SmackDown. Owens could bring up this about Phil. You're rambling on so much. You're going to give Kit Wilson and The Miz the WWE.com treatment. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's Friday night. Should be a big edition of SmackDown on Friday night.
Where are you going?
I was actually thinking about it, but we need somebody to cover ROH, and I'm probably going to be watching ROH on Friday night.
What?
we got to have it covered on the site.
Don't let ROH be your excuse to not experience some live wrestling.
There's a chance.
We got Bruce and Kate reviewing the show on our podcast format. At least
that is true. That is true. So it's a maybe. It's probably not, but not out of the question. So anyway, Neil and Wai will have you covered on Friday night, and that's going to wrap us up. Wai and I are back with the double shot on Wednesday. We are reviewing the Paul Orndorff and Missy Hyatt editions of Dark Side of the Ring, and then we'll be with you Wednesday night after Dynamite. So thank you to Chris Engler for joining us, and that wraps it up for Rewind-A-Raw.